So, hi guys. How you doing? It is the equinox today. Spring is officially beginning, so I have some flowers here behind me to show you guys. Unfortunately, it's a cloudy day. March usually does this to us in this climate. There's always high expectations of warm and sunny days having returned, but March usually tends to be a little dreary and cloudy. But nonetheless, the trees activate anyway, and they start budding and blossoming because they know the good temperatures are going to be on their way. And I just want to talk a little bit about just how I've been and what I've been doing, just to continue being in the habit of this vlog. Um, yeah, so I've been continuing with TRE, which is a wonderful therapy. And what it's been doing is it's kind of been activating me, but not always activating in like the positive, enthusiastic, energetic sense. It's been activating my anger and frustration and doubts, and rather than be dissociated from them, like I feel like more in contact with what's going on inside of me in terms of the emotions and feelings we tend to want to avoid, right? And so yeah, I what's really helped me understand myself is parts work, which is is going to be one of the main mediums, terminologies, modalities that I'm going to kind of talk through to see the world. It's kind of one of my ways of seeing the human person. And and yeah, so what I'm noticing is like there are these parts that are just taking over, and they are like protectors, and they just want to be like, get out of this, you're in trouble. And as like this channel approaches and people may be watching this video, there's a lot of stuff coming up. And then in my personal life, I have to figure out things that have to do with um, finances, work, friendships. Since COVID, I've really lost and grown apart from a lot of people. And there's a part of me that really, really wants that back. And there's a part of me that wants that back from a place of, oh my God, you're by yourself, no? So, what are parts? You could think of them as personality traits, emotions, and talents that make up who we are. So, we might have like a carefree child part that feels joy or optimism, or a sort of Mickey, Rocky part that feels determination and is able to pursue a goal. The issue is that most of us have had one or many parts of us harmed, so that they kind of go haywire and get a hold of us. Some of them get a hold of the driver's seat, making us seem selfish, lazy, or indifferent, while covering up parts of us that are in the back seat, the trunk, or maybe not in the car at all. These parts may be too overwhelmed, too shamed, or terrified to come out. And I think this mixed up family inside of us is what many people call the ego. For me, thanks to parts work, Jungian psychology, and other schools of thought, I've come to understand what people call ego as defense mechanisms and wounded children, which parts work might call protectors and exiles. And we've developed these to cope with trauma. So one type of protector might keep us addicted to food, business, consumerism, or other escapes in order to avoid feeling. Another might get irritated and hostile if someone triggers us, because we know that kind of behavior will get people to lay off our trigger. Or maybe an avoidant part might suspect those kinds of situations and avoid them altogether. If you're interested in parts work, check out Internal Family Systems, which is about working with your parts with love, recognizing they are an important cast member in the theater of you, and rehabilitating and integrating these parts in the service of your authentic self with a new task appropriate to its skill set. So, to offer a personal example of how a part can sort of take over, think of your inner warrior. I think we all, by nature, have an inner warrior that has its place when it's in balance and it knows its purpose and when it needs to get activated. But for some of us, this inner warrior can be like a loyal soldier that thinks it's always on duty and that the war is just still on, and and that the bombs and gunfire are still happening. So this loyal soldier, this warrior, is still hanging around. And in my case, it's actually manifesting in my imagination as a Disney character. So I'll tell you guys about that. And so vying for my attention, for example, is the guy from Mulan. Like I hear the song in my head, let's get down to business to defeat the Huns. And if you watch the music video on YouTube from that scene of Mulan, it's very much about like taking action. The Huns are coming to get us. We got to train. We got to get stronger, do stuff. And it's very much coming from a place of like, you're in danger, so you have to get things done in order to get out of danger. And I'm trying to allow myself to do the things I want to do, but not with that energy of like survival, fighting, conflict. Not that it's bad. It definitely has its place. That masculine energy definitely has its place. But in my case, it's kind of being applied where it's not necessary. And so that guy will like kick in. And so instead of me like being able to just kind of make plans and see if it's a good day to do this or a good day to do that, it's just kind of like get things done, get things done, get things done. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. And there's another part that is thinking about if the work actually gets done. And in this case, this YouTube channel, then it will bring upon me critique, negative attention, attacks, kind of reminding me of what it was like to be raised by my mother. So it's trying to like get me not to do the thing. So it's like the Mulan guy's like, you got to get this channel done because it's one of your goals. And if you don't get your goals done, then you're going to drown. It's obviously not true, but it's like, it's the kind of energy and mentality that it runs on. The other part wants to avoid being seen, wants to avoid the exposure, fears the attacks, fears the negative attention, fears also on a smaller level, like fears maybe on a deeper level, actually connecting to people. And once again, going through experiences that in the past I felt, where in the past I felt rejected or that my needs weren't met. And so, yeah, so those parts are kind of bouncing around inside of me. So basically, as these parts kind of fight with each other, because they're all trying to keep me safe in their minds, because they are products, programs, personalities, defense mechanisms that were created when I was a child and when I was vulnerable. And they're still active. They're like loyal soldiers on a Japanese island, or what was a Japanese island in the Pacific, who don't know the war is over. So they just keep on with their routine. And in this case, one is scared of, let's say, not having a career, not being productive, not advancing and moving forward in life. This is the Mulan's captain, drill sergeant character, who's just like, we gotta get things done, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. Which is interesting because it's doing it with my own goals, whereas when I was more unconscious and more unaware of it, and maybe I thought that the system was the only way to survive and the only way human beings could live, it might have pushed me to get a job. But now it's pushing me towards my own goals and dreams, but with that same energy, where the parts of me that are lighthearted and that enjoy the process, that are just creative, that are just in a state of play as they create these things, kind of get shut off. So I'm only creating from that more rigid, linear, gotta get things done, figure it out mode. And that's why maybe you see me talking like this a little bit more dryly. And then another part is against that part because it doesn't want me out there. doesn't want me showing myself. It doesn't want me talking to the public. It doesn't want me engaging and connecting. And then there's even another part that's like this little baby, maybe a small kid that just doesn't feel loved, never felt loved, and it just doesn't feel strong enough. Doesn't feel strong enough to go out there and do anything, and it doesn't feel like it's going to be loved out there anyway, and that we're better off just staying inside, so why should we do anything anyway? And so as these parts battle out for my attention and for control, what happens is that, it like overwhelms me and it confuses me, and so dissociation kicks in, and dissociation kind of makes everything more numb and dull. I'm kind of less here, less present for all the drama. And that's kind of where I am, where I'm kind of in this state of dissociation, and I'm just trying to figure out how to keep myself engaged, how to actually get down to those deep feelings and be with them and let them go. And it might be something that just takes a long time. And because it takes a long time, there's a part of me that's just tired of waiting, because I've been waiting, I guess, for years to like be happy and have a life and do the things I want to do. So luckily I have Link. I've been playing quite a bit of Breath of the Wild, especially when the weather gets rough. It's just like, it's such a beautiful game that when I need nature, I go to Breath of the Wild. But coming back to the issue of this warrior part, I really like Breath of the Wild for two reasons that it's been helping me with this parts issue. One is that it's open world, so you do whatever you want and you beat Ganon when you feel like it. And it really helps with this issue I just explained, where this warrior part is urging me to finish, urging me to get to the end, urging me to go, 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 go. But thanks to the open world nature of Breath of the Wild, I don't have to kill Ganon until I feel like it. I can putter around different villages, different shrines, different mountains, different plains, deserts, hot places, cold places, swim around, climb around, meet Koroks, and thank them for their wonderful little seeds, which I'd love to plant if they were real. And just enjoy doing something that technically was designed to have no end, and that's why, Breath of the Wild has ridiculous play times, still has a huge following of people, huge community revolved around it, figuring out new ways to do things in it, because of the amazing physics, obviously. So yeah, like I love having that place to go to. And what I want to get at is that I really think that video games, if we approach them with this mentality of like, what are my needs that aren't being met? Maybe I can get them met in this game. And so one of my needs is trying and experimenting and doing things without pressure. And I can get that in Breath of the Wild. And I think that not only can video games be super beneficial to people's mental health, we could be explicitly designing them without it being cheesy, without it being like an explicit mental health game, But we really could design games to improve our mental health, teach us to be human, and give us kind of experiences that really bring us into the present. So I just want to really thank Breath of the Wild, because it's been there for me during these rainy times, and now that spring is starting, it's like I have it recorded in my brain, and when I walk outside, like I do Link things, like I'll throw a tree branch, or I'll start acting like a bokoblin. I have it in my mind, and it's like I pretend I'm in that open world where I can do anything I want. So I had been kind of just allowing myself to travel around the world, do random shrines, fight random monsters, climb random mountains, search random horizons, sign up for random quests, and just help people. I had been kind of purposely avoiding the divine beasts because I wanted to avoid the plot. And when I finally decided that I was going to do them, I just did them all in a row. And it really immersed me. There's cats fighting. And so doing the champions, and so doing the divine beasts and having that connection with each champion was interesting because I actually felt and so doing each divine beast one by one and seeing those contrasting connections with each champion, you know, how one is kind of arrogant and doesn't believe that you're stronger than he is, which would have been the Rito, or the Gerudo and Mifa, the Zora, both being feminine, but in different ways. You know, like Mifa being very much a caregiver and very sweet, and the Gerudo having this like Athenian quality of like, I know you're strong, but I would still need you to prove it for me. But I also believe in you. Two other champions who maybe are like a proud father, like the Goron, and it was cool because I actually allowed myself to feel it as if they were speaking to me, you know? And in parts work, you do this like inner dialogue, inner monologue, where you're speaking to a part. And the part, which a lot of times we might have called something like the ego, it needs to feel appreciated, okay? And you appreciate it, and maybe the reason that my warrior part, my Mulan drill sergeant part, is pushing me so hard is that it doesn't feel appreciated. And maybe it hopes that if it keeps pushing and keeps pushing and keeps pushing, that it'll finally do something worthy of the appreciation. And so I kind of allowed myself to be reparented, so to speak, by these champions. Like I really let the way they felt about Link apply to me. And, you know, we all don't face divine beasts and save Hyrule, but we do in our own way. Like we have experiences that feel similar, you know. So we've never marched on Hyrule Castle and killed Ganon, but we may have done things that felt as daunting to us in our inner world. And I think that's the case with me because this project that I've started, I didn't realize it at the time, but I had to feel and face a lot of demons and a lot of hatred because of my family's attitudes towards choosing an alternative lifestyle, choosing not to just work in an office, basically avoiding the safe route, you know? And for them, avoiding the safe route is such a huge thing that they programmed into me this deathly terror. And then a whole bunch of other issues came up, which I'll talk about in other videos, that I didn't expect, where basically my parents were hugely triggered by me starting to plant trees and start a forest garden project on the land because they have huge issues with, I guess, authority and property and lineage, and they really treated me really poorly, and they really made me feel like hell. And because I still was unaware of shame, I just kind of took it on the chin rather than standing up for myself and saying, listen, you can't speak to me like this. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm taking my grandparents' heritage. I'm taking something that was managed quite poorly in an area of Spain where things are managed very, very poorly, and I'm offering an example in spite of the fact that you guys don't like what I'm doing, and then every single neighbor I have also hates what I'm doing because it goes against what they believe, and then they feel threatened. And so I guess I just want to thank I guess I just want to say thank you, Link, and thank you, champions. Thank you, Link, for being just such a tenacious guy, so fearless, so able to take on so many different challenges. And thank you, champions, for seeing that I am trying to do the right thing. In my own way, I'm trying to save Hyrule because I have a very strong connection with this land and ecology and nature, and I am in my own way trying to save it. At least do my part. And so yeah, I don't know what else to say.